Good morning, traders, and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, March 4th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're actually trading higher. We're upticking. We're up 0.34%. That's positive. You see that the markets are stabilizing and starting to trade a little higher. That's good news. There are news reports that I saw this morning attributing Iranian officials reaching out to the U.S. for talks. However, the government's, in Iran is really in disarray. I mean, there's no real leader there, so any deal you make might not be followed by other parties or other factions. So, I don't think it's going to create a de-escalation of hostilities in the near term, but it's actually a positive sign. Then you have Scott Bessent this morning. He's coming out and saying that Donald Trump recently announced his 15% global tariffs. They're going to be implemented sometime this week. Interesting. And President Trump, he's going to be meeting with tech leaders today. Remember, last week I told you that he's going to be meeting with them to discuss energy costs, and he wants a pledge, not a ruling, not an executive order, a pledge. A pledge is meaningless, but he wants a pledge from them to say that they're not going to be that they're going to be creating their own energy for those big data centers that they're creating. On the economic front, we got reports on the ADP employment report. We got the ISM services report, and the Beige Book is coming out this afternoon. And don't forget the EIA oil stockpiles report. That's coming out as well today. What else we have on the earnings front? We have CrowdStrike, Box, and National Vision, EYE. They're all trading higher after earnings. After the bell today, we got Broadcom, AVGO. We got VEV, Victor, Edward, Victor, and OKTA all scheduled to report after the bell today. Now we're turning our attention over to Europe, and we're looking at the DAX. The DAX is gaining. It's up 1.48% this morning, and we're seeing, strength in, tech stocks. That's good to see. That indicates a nice turnaround for the U.S. as well. Then you get the FTSE. The FTSE's up 0.7%, and it's being supported by mining and defense shares, which are kind of benefiting from, firmer commodity prices, we'll have to say. Then we get in France, the CAC is up. The CAC is up 1.01%. I mean, outperformance in luxury stocks. We got the Middle East action, but stocks are kind of rotating back into high-quality consumer names, and that's good to see in France. But then we looked at Asia last night, and Asia was another sea of red. We got the Nikkei down 3.61%, or 2,033 points. Ouch. I mean, these rising energy prices are really going to strain that economy. They're key on that. And when you have low oil prices, the Nikkei can rally. But when they're rising like they have 11% in the last 2 days, that's a negative for the Nikkei. Then you look at the Hong Kong market, the Hang Seng, which also fell 2%. Led lower by financial property and consumer shares, very risk averse here today, overnight. And then the Shanghai in China lost 40 points, which is about 1%, 0.98%. But, they got that 2 sessions meeting that's going to help offset any, real negativity, because guess what? The 2 sessions meeting typically comes with a stimulus announcement, and that's what the traders are expecting over there. So, it's not all horrible for the Chinese market, but just keep an eye on it. Remember, Shanghai was up on Monday. It was down yesterday. It's down today, but, it was up on Monday. And then we're turning our attention over to oil. Now, I looked at oil this morning, and it was higher by 2%. It showed a 2% uptick. I'm looking at it now. Oil, WTI, $73.80. That's down 1.02%. We got Brent, $80.88. That's down 0.64%. Now, listen, we know Iran has escalated the missile and drone attacks against its, Middle Eastern neighbors, which is a big negative. But President Trump out there saying yesterday that, he's going to put, escorts, military escorts on the tanker ships. President Trump coming out there saying, listen, we're going to insure these tankers. We're going to give them insurance at low rates. That's a positive, and the U.S. has the ability to knock out their Navy fairly easily, so we'll have to see. I mean, there's a lot of saber rallying going on over there. I mean, on one side, they're going to blow up any ships that try to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz. On another side, saying, we have not closed the Strait of Hormuz. This shows you the dysfunction of the government in Iran at this point in time. There's no one that's really going to be able to take over and run that country effectively. I mean, right now it's leaderless. It's leaderless. And then last night, after the bell, you had the API data that came out, and it showed that inventories rose by 5.7 million barrels last week. That's a negative for oil prices. That's a negative. Bills are negative. Okay, let's move on into earnings this morning. Let's take a look at the earnings action. We're going to start with CrowdStrike, which beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock's trading higher this morning. Then we got the Box, ticker BOX, which beat by 15 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock's trading higher this morning. And EYE, Elvis Yellow Elvis, they beat by 9 cents. They did it on higher revenue. Spread is really wide, but it looks like it's going to be positive today, so keep an eye on EYE. Upcoming announcements, Broadcom, ticker AVGO, they're coming out after the bell. Their EPS is $2.03. Expected move is 8.53%. Get Viva Systems, that's ticker VEEV. Their EPS is $1.92. Expected move is 11.94% when they release. In terms of economic reports, at 8:15 a.m. we get the ADP employment report. 10 a.m. we get the ISM Services Index. 10:30 a.m. we get the oil stockpiles report, and then at 2 p.m. this afternoon the Fed is going to be releasing its beige book. So we get a lot of good economic data coming out today. Turn our attention over to the markets this morning. Listen, I'm seeing a lot of green on the screen, which is positive and indicating a higher open. SPOOs are still up, 0.28%. That's nice to see. But if you're looking at some of the news behind the tape, like Apple, the App Store revenue is out there, and UBS says it improved in February versus January. That's positive. Amazon is exploring helping other apps sell chatbot ads. Meta Platforms is also in the chatbot news. They're testing shopping research, feature for AI chatbots. Tesla's interesting because it just got reinstated by Bank of America today to a buy from neutral. So it's a reinstated, and that's positive for the stock. I got to tell you, positive for Tesla. In terms of Dow Jones 30 news, Apple unveils a new studio lineup, including Studio Display. Microsoft OpenAI is developing an alternative to Microsoft's GitHub. I don't know if that's positive or negative. If I'm Microsoft, I don't know if I like that. In terms of guidance news, EYE, National Vision, they see full year 2026 EPS coming in 85 cents to $1.09. Pretty wide. But the street estimates is 93 cents. So, that's looks like a kind of an uptick to me. CrowdStrike sees Q1 adjusted EPS coming in $1.06 to $1.07. Street estimates $1.07. See, that's not great. It's okay, but it's not strength. It's not strength. Box, ticker BOX, they see full year 2027 EPS of $1.55. Street estimates $1.45. That's an uptick. Okay, now we're going to move on in today's pick of the day, which is ticker CIEN, Charlie India Edward Nancy Sienna Corp. Listen, earnings are due out tomorrow morning. EPS is $1.31. EPS is $1.13, 1.13. Expected move is 14.43% today. So, then you look at yesterday's call volume, 5,739 calls versus 1,729 puts. That's pretty darn nice. I like to see that type of spread. And then we're looking at the open interest. 27,500 versus 26,600. Positive, not as much as I'd like to see, but it's still positive. And the brokers, they're really raising price targets on the stock. They think some good news is in the works here for Sienna. I like it, but for me, I want to get in 330 or under. I think right now it's trading a little bit over where I'm comfortable, so I'm kind of far away at 330, but that's my entry price. I'm really want to. I'll be watching 325 to 330, but right now, the stock's trading 338, and I feel that's a little bit too rich for my blood. So I'll hopefully get a lower print at the opening and see if I can get in somewhere between 325 and 330. But I'll say 330 is an entry. Okay, what else do we have? Let's take a look at the stories that are hitting the tape this morning. What do we got? Okay. Besen's out there talking about tariffs starting this week. Moderna resolved that litigation. They're going to pay up to 2.25 billion in the settlement. Moderna's trading higher. That's a big win for them. This is over the COVID vaccine. Kraken becomes the first crypto firm to win access to the Fed core payment system. Jamie Dimon had a real ugly discussion with one of these crypto guys recently. He said, listen, if you want to be a bank, but deal with the regulations. You want to be a bank, but you don't want the regulations. I don't want the regulations either, but if you want to be a bank, be a bank. It was pretty tense. Let's see what else. Meta's in a deal with News Corp, an AI content licensing deal worth up to $50 million a year. Teva announced a $400 million funding agreement to support developments of Duvakine. Airlines, that sell-off is kind of easing after some flights leave the Gulf, and as that Iran conflict continues on. OpenAI looking for a contract from NATO. Abbott Labs set to face trial over claims that premature infant baby formula caused deadly disease. Ooh, that's not good. That's all I'm seeing this morning. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about our stock of the day from yesterday, which was National Vision, ticker EYE, Elvis, Yellow Elvis. I mean, it was just good. I mean, the stock opened up at 25.88, which is lower than my 26.40 entry price. But then it fell. It fell down to 25.35, and then it climbed and closed at 26.63. But this morning you look at and it's 26.34 to 29. So yeah, this thing's going to open up higher. There's just not a lot of volume in it just yet, but all indications are this is going to really move today. I made my 1% yesterday. I got in, under 26. I wrote it up, 1%, walked away. So I'm happy with the trade, but there was a lot, but I left a lot on the table. But National Vision was a winner yesterday. Was a winner. Okay, traders, that concludes today's podcast. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.